been a ton of chatter about guns and gun control on social media. A lot of the chatter comes from the younger generation, which is the same group of teenagers. Some of the kids who talk about gun control are walking out of their high school to protest. However, their protests were often met by disciplinary actions from the administrators of the high schools. Other students, who were able to walk out without being punished, spent their time laughing and playing around and not interested in gun control or making schools safer. Those kids saw an opportunity to skip class. Another partition of high school-aged students participates in the Tide Pod Challenge, in which teenagers eat laundry packets in hopes to get likes on social media. It was one thing when people dumped ice water on themselves in the Ice Bucket Challenge, but now kids are poisoning themselves just to be famous. These same people now believe they're experts in constitutional rights. One of the most outspoken teenagers has been David Hogg. He's confronted members of the NRA and has been persistently appearing on television or in interviews with members of the mainstream media. He's been verified on Twitter and has developed quite an audience of people who wish to control guns. He's been very steady on his delivery, which has been both articulate but very one-sided in his possible ulterior motive quest for gun control at such a young age. Hogg's sister, Lauren, has just made a name for herself as well. Lauren has a message for President Trump, and it comes with a dire warning that he will suffer if he doesn't act on her demands. The female Hogg lost several friends during the horrific school shooting at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida. Her and her brother, David, could have been victims too. They were lucky to survive, but now they both have a message for the masses. David's message was already heard a million times, and social media expressed their opinions on that matter. Lauren's message is a bit more straightforward and almost violent. Lauren's message is that President Trump better impose strict gun laws and get rid of the assault rifles or else. Her need to add the subjective or else attitude will be met with a nasty message from the president and the American people who disagree with her. Trump does not seem to be interested in banning assault rifles, so Lauren Hogg's message didn't exactly work. She put herself out there, but it will repeatedly get shot down. No pun intended. Here is Lauren Hogg's message. She thinks there is going to be a huge problem for the government. This is the same generation who is responsible for stores feeling the need to lock their Tide Pods behind a security device to prevent teens from buying or stealing them. Those are mighty big demands from the generation of teenagers who eat soap. Back in the day, our grandparents may have warned us that they would wash our mouth out with soap if we continued speaking fresh or using vulgarities. Maybe some grandparents did it. Nowadays the kids are eating soap for fun and they want us to take them seriously on the real world and government issues. Watch this video. Enduring a school shooting is a horrible experience to suffer through. Parents, staff, students, friends, and family members all suffer. The entire country mourns and discusses ways to increase school safety. People argue over this for days or weeks, but then they often forget about it until the next school shooting. The teens who walk out of their school to play around, or spend their weekends eating Tide Pods, and listen to mumble rap deserve to have their voices heard. However, they cannot get upset if the adults managing the situation don't always take the kids seriously. Everyone has done ridiculous things as teenagers, but it seems like this generation coming up could be one of the worst in ages. America needs to find a way to keep the guns away from the bad guys while not punishing the good, law-abiding, hard-working Americans for the crimes of others. President Trump will discuss what measures to take, and part of the solution could be to require every school to have an armed police officer present. Many people would prefer a real police officer because they are trained in firearms, know how to assess a deadly situation and respond accordingly, and are not there to milk a few dollars in the last years of their career before retirement. Whoever is assigned to schools should be the brave and courageous, complete opposite of the coward resource guard who hid from the Florida school shooter. He was scared and failed to protect his job, allowing 17 people to die when he could have responded and saved lives. His name is Scott Peterson, and he could have saved lives, but he chose not to. From the web powered by Zergnet, the truth about Chip Gaines, the real reason you don't hear about LeAnn Rimes anymore. Here's what you didn't know about Megyn Kelly. Olympic figure skater handles wardrobe malfunction perfectly. You have to see Meghan Markle's natural hair. Angry Canadian hockey star forced to wear silver medal.